Whoa. Breaking news. The BBC has already called it. It seems as though Brexit has been successful amongst all the European leaders and David Cameron and all the other little noncy-ponces who we have to stick together because it gives all my bureaucratic mates a job. Looks as though it's going by the wayside. Many people thought that it was in the 70s when they joined, Britain wasn't in very good economic shape at all. They had stagflation, which is a combination of high inflation and economic stagnation at the same time. And basically, they joined. Now, during the time Margaret Thatcher was in, they were talking about one currency for the European Union, and she decided back then that no, we're going to stick with the pound, and that has probably done not only Britain a lot of good, but also the European Union a lot of good. And I must remark that also Sweden, and I don't know, maybe even Finland has kept their currency. I know Sweden definitely has kept their currency, even though they're a member of the EU. Long story short, many people started to see it as the Titanic. Back in the days when they joined, it was a lifeline. Now, with Portugal, Ireland, Italy, Greece in particular, and Spain needing bailout after bailout, they're worried it's not so much a lifeboat or a lifeline, it's more like the friggin' Titanic. And so I couldn't agree more, to be quite honest. And, as I said, they've done themselves a lot of good, and the European Union a lot of good by sticking with the sterling pound, for the pure fact that if they were to get out, there may be a sudden excess of euros, and henceforth that would cause pretty bloody dramatic inflation. So it's good for everybody that they maintain their old currency. I think it's great that they've done it. It's a step for independence. I mean, when you look at it, like, Britain was the biggest empire the world's ever seen. Like, the British Empire was the biggest empire the world's ever seen. They had a quarter of the surface of the earth under their control, whether it was colonies, quasi-colonies, highly influenced, friendly nations, or protectorates or quasi-protectorates. With all this, it's pretty obvious that, especially with the migrant crisis, that really tips it over the edge with the EU. It's great that they've got out for their own sake, because they won't get dragged down with the Titanic. And sure, they had an empire, they lost it, but being independent, as everybody has been said, first of all, doesn't mean that they get a whole stack of, Muslim migrants who are going to end up with EU passports over there. It also gets a lot of people who have come from some of the poorer places and made a go in the EU and made a go at their welfare. That's out of the question now. And also, what else was I going to say? Not getting Brussels dictating laws to you, because the fucked up thing about all this was that in so many cases, the British Parliament didn't decide the bloody laws. It was the European Union Parliament in Belgium that decided stuff, and they've seized back control of their own country in effect by doing that. And in this case, independence is good, especially when let's face it, it looks like everything else is just sort of, yeah, slowly spiralling downhill, and had enough problems after Greece's bankruptcy and all the other ones come out and said they needed bailouts, even before the migrant crisis started. So anyway, hats off to all of you in jolly old England, and coming to you live from a former colony. In fact, the property I have and the property I'm standing on right now, both of those properties had been signed through when we were still a colony of England, signed off by a lieutenant colonel of the British Army who had the ability to hand out parcels of land as part of his control, as part of his duties. Yeah, anyway, hats off, you made the right fucking choice.